Hello everyone, welcome to this End Times Watcher session. My name is Kyle and I am just an End Times Watcher. I will be sharing biblical perspectives of events pertaining to end times. In this session, however, the topic has no Bible references. But for end times Christians, this topic is peppered with scary rumors. What are the true facts? What are fallacies created to confuse us? Let us have some basic understanding of mobile phone signals and 5G in particular. With such clear understanding, we can know what not to fear and what we should avoid. Let's start with some basics of communication. When we have a message to convey, we open our mouth and speak. The sound waves created from our mouth travels to and is received by another person. However, to send that message further away, we need a medium to transmit our message. The medium need to carry it over a distance without losing the information. In radio transmission, the medium is called carrier signal or carrier wave. By the way, all wireless transmission over the air can be generally referred to as radio signals or radio transmissions. The message is then superimposed into the carrier signal, and the process is called modulation. The carrier signal did not lose its carrying capability, but it now has a message modulated into it. In other words, it now carries the message over long distance through the air. In the early days, these signals are modulated by varying either the amplitude or the frequency. That's how we get the term AM and FM radio. Fast forward to mobile phone signals. We skip the first generation and look at the second generation. 2G is digital. We can pack a lot more information in digital modulation. The modulation uses either time division, frequency division, or code division. I won't go into the history nor explain the differences, but you may remember these terms: TDMA, FDMA, and CDMA. You may also remember that in the 2G days, there was no true internet access. The phone has a number keypad for dialing and a small screen with simple graphics. When appetite for more data grows, 3G was born. The modulation was improved to wideband CDMA or WCDMA. That was the beginning of Android phones. We can start browsing on the web, but it was rather slow and there are limits. 4G brought with it much improved encoding techniques. The modulation was also replaced by encoding. We do not just modulate, we encode a lot more data into the carrier wave. The encoding is rather complex and we are not here for a science lesson. Just know that the carrier signal is fundamentally the same. The encoded information is no longer simple binary ones and zeros. Also, the buttons begin to disappear and is replaced by 100% touchscreen. Between 4G to 5G, the technology is reaching saturation. Encoding was improved. The fundamental technique is not revolutionary. You can still see the same QAM, QPSK, and OFDM encoding scheme. On average, it will be 60 to 120 times faster, but this is not fast enough to handle facial recognition, Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, etc. I will now move on to carrier signals. This is what carry these 2G, 3G, 4G voice and data across the air, just like radio and TV signals. It is more common to refer to them as frequency band. It is also called frequency spectrum allocation. Each country will allocate it differently as they had used up some of those frequency bands for other purposes outside of mobile. While USA was still muddling around first generation analog mobile phones, Europe took a leap with GSM. At that time, the term 2G did not exist. Most Asia followed closely and adopted GSM. The frequency band was 900 MHz, and then later 1800 MHz was added, thus introducing the term dual band. When 3G came along, Europe and Asia allocated 2100 MHz for its use. North America was a late adopter. Their 900 1800 MHz were still being used by the first gen analog phones. Hence, they allocated 850 MHz and 1900 MHz for their 3G signals. 4G got really complicated. Countries have only pockets of frequency bands available, and there is no commonality. So the 4G consortium designed a whole range of frequency bands, and different countries will choose different bands that suits them. This is one of the reasons why 4G mobile phone sockets are so expensive. The RF portion of the phone must be able to switch to different frequency band depending on which country you are at, and they must be able to detect and switch automatically. It was not enough, so higher bands were introduced. By then, we switched from megahertz, which has 6 zeros, as in millions, to gigahertz with 9 zeros, as in billions. For Singapore, they recycled the 2G frequency bands 900 MHz and 1800 MHz. Singapore also adopted band 7, 2.6 GHz. This 2.6 GHz is the reason why we get pretty good internet speed on our mobile phone. Please note, the higher the frequency, the more data we can pack in, and the faster will be the mobile internet speed. Before I go into 5G, let's look at the health effects of radio frequencies. At very high frequencies, these are the X-rays and radioactive gamma rays. They directly destroy our body cells. But for mobile phones, they fall into the range of half to 6 GHz. If the power level is high enough, it causes liquid to heat up. A study made by NIH in 2017 shows that the frequencies in the range 1.8 to 2.2 GHz causes organic tissue to heat up. The higher the frequency, the worse it is. Singapore's 4G is operating at 1.8 to and 2.6 GHz. Please note, 4G is already not good to our bodies. It is also common knowledge among people working in the zones with high radio frequencies that the male staff can hardly have male offsprings. If their wives can conceive, it will be baby girls. When I was working in the mobile phone development, the aunties that got to know my family will inadvertently exclaim that I was so lucky to have 2 boys. What they did not know is that I had my boys before I got into the mobile industry. The science to that is that the sperms carrying the male genes cannot survive the radio frequency bombardments. However, the more hardy female sperms survives and have a higher chance to fertilize the egg. By the way, this knowledge hails back to the days of people working in the radio and TV stations. Those stations blast out very powerful radio signals, and people working in those stations struggle to have baby boys. In summary, higher frequency as in above gigahertz is harmful to us. In addition, very strong signals are harmful to our biological bodies. Hence, higher frequency but operating in a much reduced power doesn't harm us that quickly. For 5G, we will not go into the minute breakdown of frequency bands. Instead, it is more common to lump them into the low band, mid band, and high band. For mid band is further split into the lower and upper bands. Singapore is operating on the mid band, both lower and upper. Malaysia decided to keep it just at the mid upper band. As a result, they can boast having the fastest 5G speed in the region, faster than Singapore. Thailand decided to choose the lower and mid-lower band. This lower frequency means that the 5G is not fast at all, but it allows them to cover 98% of the country. Indonesia is at the mid-lower band. Philippines are all over at the low and mid bands. They have too many mobile providers, and each is trying to book a frequency band for their use. 5G adoption in Philippines is haphazard. Australia and New Zealand are well organized and kept their 5G within the mid-upper band. However, Australia has been considering recycling their 2G bands for 5G use. The improved speed can only be realized if the service provider are operating at the mid-upper band. These frequencies are a bit more harmful than the 4G, and long-term exposure is not healthy. However, the real culprit is the high band. These frequencies are operating at 10 times higher than the standard 4G frequencies. They are so high that the wavelength dropped to millimeter in length, and hence are referred to as MM wave. That's the reason why they coined this term MM wave. Otherwise, the other term is microwave. Yes, the same as your microwave oven. When these radio frequencies are operated high enough power, it can cook raw meat and popcorns. In recent months, more countries have started to adopt these high band carrier frequencies. In Asia, we have Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, and Singapore. These countries you see here are the latest, but by the time you see this video, more will have jumped into the bandwagon. However, before you freak out and set sail into the ocean and live out there, please watch till the end. I've heard a lot of rumors about how harmful and scary 5G signals are. Please allow me to demystify 5G and share the facts versus the fallacies surrounding it. Fact: mmWave have been tested and used in warfare. The scientific name is DEW, Directed Energy Weapon. USA tested it out in the Iraq War. The enemies bombarded by these waves became disoriented. Their responses slowed down and turned sluggish. Another fact: they travel in straight line, cannot curve around corner, and cannot travel very far. Hence, they can be blocked. For those of you who were science students, you can technically protect your home by setting up a Faraday cage, but that also means no mobile phone signals inside your home. Fallacy: we have been injected with nanocapsules containing Marburg virus. This virus will exhibit zombie-like symptoms on the infected. These capsules were administered as part of the COVID vaccine. And when the 5G signals are burst out at certain frequency, 3 perfectly timed bursts will break the capsules and we will turn into zombies. It will happen on 4th October 2023. This fake news went around and caused a lot of fear. Many people actually turned off their mobile phone on that day just to be sure. Well, 4th October 2023 had come and gone. As an engineer, when I first heard it, I felt that it could not hold water. Based on scientific reasoning, it was too preposterous. I understand that the non-technical people will not be able to distinguish truth from fakes. So I can only suggest, please pray and allow Abba Father to speak to you. These next info are facts, but they are also mixed with fallacies that one can get really confused. The facts are 4G signals at 2.2 GHz and above are already harmful as they cause tissue heating. The mid-band 5G will be worse than the 4G as its carrier frequency is higher. But the truly harmful ones are the high-band 5G signals. Even at lower power, they are no different from your microwave oven. Have you ever operated your microwave oven at the lowest level? The food still get heated up, don't they? So, do you want to be a human popcorn waiting to pop? Let's look at the 5G antennas. Low band and mid band antennas are no different from the 4G ones. They are mounted high up to reach out to a bigger area. However, the mmWave ones are short and not very big. They are mounted at street level. These pictures show the trial versions. The commercial implementation have shrunk the antenna to be smaller. They make use of the existing street lamppost infrastructure to mount them. They are also called smart lampposts. At street level, they cannot go very far. Hence, it is only economically viable in areas with dense population. Let me repeat, 5G high band is operating in mmWave, the same frequency range as your microwave oven. The good news is that they operate within line of sight. That is, they cannot go around corners and they cannot go very far. And to prevent many of us from getting cooked, the power level is kept low so that heating effect is minimized. As a result, each mmWave base station has limited range and only makes sense to be put in very dense area like downtown. In Thailand, only downtown Bangkok, the Siam Paragon area, has a few of these base stations. In Singapore, it has only been tested and implemented along the busiest section of Orchard Road. By the time this video reaches you, more downtown cities with dense population will most likely have installed mmWave. Someone asked me if they can identify it from the smart lampposts. Well, you can. But please note they are shrinking the antenna to a point that you can hardly see it. This is an artist's impression of future smart lampposts. It will probably include video surveillance camera, and you can see the little protrusion at the top of the lamppost. If you want to avoid these harmful rays, get out of cities, move to suburban areas, or safer still, move to countryside with open fields. The less densely populated, the lower chance of smart lampposts popping up near your home. Finally, are there devices that we can use to identify these harmful rays? Unfortunately, you cannot find them in the open market. Those commercially available ones can only measure up to 3.5 GHz. You can detect up to mid-band 5G signals, but not the MM-wave ones. If I have time, I may try to build a simple one, but I am not sure I can build a receiver that can detect 20 GHz or higher. I am not an RF engineer. If you know anyone who can design such a detector, please contact me. Phew, that was heavy. I tried my best to simplify and keep up the technical terms, but I had consciously introduced some so that when you do your own reading and come across those terms, you can relate to it. In the next session, I will continue to address current affairs that bothers many end-time Christians. Are we expecting a new pandemic soon? Many have been warning and bracing themselves against a potential disease X. My short answer to you is not so soon, and I will explain why. You have now some reading space, but do not rest on your laurels. We will look at the world events and forecast what could possibly hit us in the next 12 months. Till then, this is Kyle. See you in the next session. If you find this video beneficial, please click a like on it. YouTube algorithm automatically recommends it to others if there are higher like counts. You can also subscribe to my channel so that you can see my past and future videos. Finally, please forward and share with your friends so that they too will benefit. Thank you and God bless.